I think that John's memories and perceptions are interesting. John believed that he would be more successful in Canada because he found there to be more representation, but I'm not sure that I agree. He might have just heard a couple of artists or seen a Canadian TV show and assumed that we were more inclusive. I thought his ideas about his Singaporean education were interesting. An example of what one study found was that online ESL classes where an instructor had an accent didn't impact the students' learning, but it did impact their perception of the teacher. Maybe the education and material weren't so hard, but John's perception of the lesson was skewed by the teacher's accent. From this case study, I learned that bias is impossible to get away from, whether it be teachers' bias towards their students, an international student's bias towards where to study abroad, or even a student's bias about their own language education.
I found this to be quite an eye-opening experience. The issues that John faces, as well as his thought process when choosing somewhere to study and eventually settle down, are not issues that would even occur to me if I were choosing to study abroad. To me, this highlights the need for inclusivity in the classroom, as well as being an advocate for diversity in your community.
From this case study, I'm able to understand more the integration process for an ESL learner in a new community and social setting. I learned that every curriculum around the world is different, and some students may be able to adapt easier than others. Some students will arrive more advanced in English than other ESL students. I found out that students do undergo some prejudice and bias when coming as an ESL learner. However, I'm pleased to find out that the prejudice in Canada isn't at a high level. For my future second language teaching, I have learned that I may have to adapt my lessons based on the English level of my students and how well they are adapting in this social community.
I feel as though this case study has affirmed what I know about minorities and my own experiences. As an Asian Canadian, I was surprised to see that one of the factors influencing John's choice to come to Canada was the representation of Asians in the media, which I feel is lacking at best. This just highlights the importance of representation within our classroom and elsewhere, because how one even anticipates they will be perceived as can influence a big decision, such as where they will immigrate. While teaching ESL in a multicultural setting, I hope to portray a realistic Canada with all its diversity.
Created using Powtoon.